Hey, what's going on everyone? Joe here from Metafish. Hey, so I just got a new camera. I know I haven't done a video in a long time. I've been waiting for this awesome new Samsung Galaxy Ultra to come in. And it's here. So let's do a fish room tour video, show you everything that's new. A lot of stuff's changed. The swap last week was awesome. There was a tropical Michigan tropical fish swap. And just had a blast. Brought home a few new species, cleared out a few other species, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So let's see how good this thing records. This is more of a video of me playing with my new camera and video editing software, but the cameras on this thing are just awesome. I can do 4K video, which I'm choosing not to do because I think this has a lot better just resolution and stabilization if I don't. And you guys, for me personally, when I watch videos, I don't really care too much if it's a 4K video or not. I just want a nice, clear, stable video, nice pictures of fish. So yeah, let's start different today. Let's start with these 220 gallons, see how this works. So these are some of my growed angelfish. There's one really cool one in here. He's like a panda koi. This one right up here, look at how his eyes have black around them. So these are blushing high coverage koi angelfish, and he's full white on both sides. Not full white, I mean he's got some black, kind of like a panda on the one side, but I think he's super cool. And then the rest are nice, almost silver dollar size koi and gold angelfish. So this is just a 20 long I set up. It's got 2 sponge filters, well, 1 sponge filter and 1 box filter, and yeah, just extra tanks. So they just got a water change about a week ago. Pretty easy to do water changes out of these tanks. This one actually has a glass lid, and then just try to keep the humidity down as much as possible, cut down on evaporation. Nothing pretty. And they just have black gravel. I threw black gravel down here also. So these are my jeweled Guppies. Starting to look really nice. I've been growing these for about 5 to 6 months. They were super small when I got them. And yeah, they're nice juveniles now. And these are also my super red pineapple swords. These were born in the outdoor ponds that I set up, outdoor aquariums. And yeah, nice juveniles now. Looks like can't tell if any of them are males. This particular species of swordtail, it doesn't really show the swords until they're quite a bit older, from my experience. But the females look just as good as the males. So I'm sure there's males in here. And yeah, it's just a reflection. That's the pump I use to drain the tanks. And it just saves on electricity and makes it super easy to drain, let's say 50% in this 100-gallon tank. I can throw that pump in there. So this is my muck guppy tank. This has gotten a lot of new fish in it, a lot of new endlers. You can kind of see this one right here. That was probably a Santa Maria endler that didn't look quite right, so I threw it in there. These are my blue-red metallics. That one's actually pretty decent. That's what I was shooting for the most part. I was shooting for more of a split fin when I was trying to work with that species and try to really set the line. But I've since given up on that project. You can only do so many different projects. So if anybody's in the area and wants to continue on that project, I can get you the best males out of here. It'd be fun. Maybe I'll get into it again someday and just pick the females. Like that's one of the females there. I can tell they look like almost like Dumbo ear half blacks. This one right here. Yeah, can't get my finger in it. So yeah, there's some Santa Maria endlers, just some kind of neat little endlers in this 100-gallon tank. And I think the white cloud minnows, there's one of the white clouds right there. That's actually the big female in the tank. I think they're really good at eating the fry, so there's not too many fry in this tank. Down below, I don't think they're gonna let me video them at all, but they're actually coming out quite a bit when it's just me down here. These are my white labs and Pundamilla macrocephala, the black Lake Victorians. Down here is one little tank. These are my most recent Neolamprologus Cygnus. Let's see how if we can zoom in on these guys. The glass is dirty. It's got some algae on this tank. But they're a Brichardi type fish. They have nicer colors than this is really showing. So zoom back out. This is my second tank of slightly bigger Neolamprologus Cygnus. So what am I zoomed in right there? 3x. Not too bad. Let's see how far I can zoom in. Let's try to look at these ones back here. This camera can actually zoom in 100x, which is way more than I need. But yeah, they do real good, especially as juveniles. I really like that fish. Pretty rare. This tank down here, there's guppy grass in here and Bosemani rainbow fish. So this was something that didn't work out too good. I bought some discus and I'm trying those upstairs in half RO water, half city water. And the rainbow fish did not like that. These guys specifically right here, I think it was just too much tank for them. It's a 55-gallon tank. And either that or they didn't like the RO water mixed in. Or maybe they didn't like the high temperatures. But I heard rainbow fish like a little hot temperatures. So I tried the temperature at 84 degrees. They weren't doing good. I dropped it down to 82. I think I had it as high as 86. They still just weren't. They stopped eating. I brought them down here last night. And yeah, these little Bosemani guys are eating. I just fed them brine shrimp about 10 minutes ago. So they're doing better. They don't look great, but better. These are my blue Moscow guppies. So these ones were in the pond last year. Some of them from here. Nice big females. I should probably pull a couple of those to their own container so I can get more fry from them. Because these ones eat their fry pretty good too. Mostly females in this tank. Some really nice males. And up above are all their babies. And they are starting to get their adult colors pretty nice too. Look at them darting around. Let me zoom out. We'll go back to 1x. So there's some babies in here. They're already breeding. I've been working on this tank. It's got some Java moss. It's got some water sprite up top. And yeah, I've been working on this tank for probably about the last 8 months. Right next door is a rare Gadiid. These are the blue-tailed Gadiids. Atinia nubius tower's eye, I believe. Tower eye. Not quite sure how to pronounce that, but the common name is the blue-tailed Gadiid. And sometimes they show some blues, but in general, this is what they look like. These are mostly juveniles. I think the adults, no, that's about as big as they get to on the biggest fish there. Like, I think that's a big female right there in the middle. I don't see anybody pregnant right now. The Gadiids don't, they have a lot longer pregnancy. They're gravid for a lot longer than a guppy. So these are the black Bar Endlers. We'll go around to this side. Really nice Endler. They stay super small, perfect for a nano tank. They're in here with some Java moss also. Lots of them. Very prolific fish. They do great in this tank. And they get lots of brine shrimp because whenever I get done siphoning the brine shrimp out, I take the extra brine shrimp from the net. And these are always the lucky guys who get the leftovers that are clinging onto the net. So yeah, that's this side of this room. And everything's air powered from PVC that's running up above. I actually ended up buying one of these Gemco manifolds. I believe it's a 20 valve manifold, which is kind of nice because You don't have to install valves that way. But everything else, I installed all these other valves. There's 2 different styles there. I sell one of the styles on my website, and I also have a video, so check that out. I'll try to put a link to that in the top corner on how to install these valves in PVC and exactly what drill bits you need. It's super easy. It honestly couldn't be any more easy. So it's a little bit of a mess here. I got extra tanks up here, kind of a holding area for them. And this is my new project here. So people are going to tell me I'm crazy. Feel free to do so in the comments. It even zooms in on my finger there. But I mounted these, let me zoom all the way out here. I mounted these shelves to my concrete cinder block walls, and I mounted them pretty thick in there. And I made sure, basically these cinder block walls have studs in them. They have empty pockets in different areas, but as long as you drill along the edge, you can see the crease where that's a new cinder block wall there. As long as you drill along the edges, it's basically like hitting a wall stud. So you have all that support there if you're going to hang a TV on the wall or something like that. So I'm hopeful with these Tapcon screws. I believe these are 2.5 or 3-inch Tapcons. They were very difficult to screw in there. Me and my buddy were down here trying to put these shelves together and put everything up and drill into the concrete. It took us the better part of a night just working on this project. So these shelves are rated for, what'd they say? I don't want to lie to you. I think they're 450 pounds per shelf. They're from Home Depot. If you're interested in more information, I bought these like a year ago and I just never got around to doing the project, but I hung off of these things. So I'm pretty confident these 5-gallon aquariums are going to do just fine here. But tell me I'm crazy. Maybe I am crazy. But that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to do 5 gallons down here, 5 gallons up there, a total of 10 5-gallon tanks. We had a nice day here in Michigan about a week ago, so I made it outside to paint these tanks. I like doing spray paint. You can see through it because there's a light right behind it. But once these fill with water, they just look really nice, especially if I put a light up above. You won't be able to see through it. As an example, that's spray paint right here. This is spray paint. That's got a lot of algae. But these are basically all spray paint. Whoever did this one, this wasn't me. They probably didn't do enough coats on it. So you can see some air pockets. This is an old tank. Somebody had this for years before I got a hold of it. But spray paint can do a really nice job. And it's super quick and easy. That's what I like about it. And I also spray painted the bottoms a tan color to kind of look like sand. And somebody asked me earlier, why do you spray paint the tanks? Why do you paint them at all? And in my experience, it makes the fish feel more comfortable. If you have 2 sides of the aquarium, so as an example, this is painted, this side's not. So if you do that and you line your tanks up like this one's not painted, this side is, then you only have to paint half as much of the sides. You don't have to paint both sides. And it basically gives them a full encompassing area that they feel more secure in. Instead of having glass walls, you think you're in the ocean if you have an open aquarium. Some fish just don't like it. They like to feel secure. They like to have something to back up against. And in my personal preference is just, I think the painted tanks look better too. So I know I don't have any light here right now, but I'm gonna hang a shop light. It's gonna look a lot nicer. I'll probably end up hanging a shop light right through the middle here, but I don't have that all figured out yet. In the meantime, so tonight I'll probably be starting to work on these some more. I just need to rinse them out one more time. And these are the backs of them, so you can see I didn't even really tape. If you want to, you can tape these black seams. But, you know, this isn't going to show anyways, and that's how that spray paint kind of coated the black on there. So I'll do a more detailed video on spraying aquariums in the future probably. Nothing new here. All the brine shrimp's the same, except, yeah, I do have my 4 barrels, which I'm still going to do Daphnia in. That's another live food. I'm just kind of limping along using these little animal food containers. They're probably about almost 2 gallons a piece. And there's a couple, there's one pregnant guppy here. There's 3 males here. I had to move them from upstairs, and I had about 500 red ram's horn snails in this, and I was doing water changes like every other day because there were so many snails in here, and I was feeding them algae wafers. But now that the swap's here, I took all those red ram's horn snails and I was selling them for like 100 for $5, and I think I sold 3 or 4 bags of them. So that's what these are. And I say 100, they were juvenile ram's horn snails, and I had to pull them out of another tank. See if I can't zoom in on any. But I think they need a little more calcium. Their shells are starting to get a little bit white, some of them. But anyways, they're just snails. I just didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to at least offer them to somebody who could use them. And people wanted them at the swap. So one of these pregnant guppies that I originally had, that one right there, she gave birth and she put all these little baby guppies, and these are my purple IFGA guppies. And I believe they mixed with my blue Moscow. So I'm going to see what these little guppies turn into. They are about 3 days old right now. They're eating, no filter in here. This is just I think it's a 1 gallon jar. It's a pickle jar. And yeah, there's just an air stone in here. Or there was. Yep, right here. So that's all I do is just a little bit of bubbles. And as long as you don't put a ton of flakes that's decomposing in this, I feed them baby brine shrimp. You only have to change the water probably like once every 3 to 4 days is sufficient. They don't produce a lot of waste. Just do about a half water change once every 3 to 4 days, and you can just use a pickle jar to grow a bunch of baby guppies. I've done it a lot of times, and it works amazing when you run out of space. This is a pregnant blue Moscow female who's going to give birth here pretty soon. She's probably got another 3 or 4 days by the looks of her. But yeah, same thing. This is just a fishbowl, so when you run out of tank space, that's what you do. This is a 120 gallon aquarium. These are my grade A koi blushing guppies and golden angel, or not guppies, angelfish, as well as my Geophagus Brazilians. So I took a bunch of all of these to the swap, and people were super excited about them. I wish I would have brought more, but you never know what's going to sell at those swaps. But I love these guys. These are my original babies that I raised up. And yeah, they're all asking for food right now. This is their aquarium, so they have plenty of space. It just doesn't look like it because they all want the food. That's where I usually feed them. And this is just Valsinaria in the sand. The Geophagus do a good job of sifting through it. They don't really uproot the Valsinaria. It's doing fine. There's some more planted along the back wall. This is just extra lava rock. It holds beneficial bacteria, and right now it's just in this tank. If I ever set up another tank, I can grab a few of them, throw them in the tank, and it'll be that much more beneficial bacteria. This is an amazingly giant plant of Java fern. I've actually pulled 3 or 4 sections off of this to sell people. I grew this immersed, and there's actually a big root mass that still has some dirt attached to it right in the middle, and I know that feeds the plant quite a bit. And I grew this in a container probably about a year ago, and it never really melted back. It's just been doing amazing. It probably didn't melt back because it had some of that dirt in the middle to feed the Java fern mass. So that's probably my best Java fern plant that I have. And this tank's super simple. Again, just these are sponge filters. You can get these on Amazon. And box filters. This tank gets dirty. I have to clean that box filter about every 3 or 4 days, but really easy to do. You pull the stuffing out, you put new stuffing in, good to go. And yeah, there's even a super red bristlenose Pleco in here that I threw in here just kind of help keep the sides clean. And 2 more sponges. They're not doing too much. And hornwort. This tank's going to be, I never really go over this tank, but these are my wild-caught yellow Swordtails. There's no light over this tank. I'm surprised it's actually getting as good a video as it is. It must realize we're in a pretty low light situation here, because it's actually darker from what I can see. Xenophorus clemensiae, I have the collection point and location. They're actually a real beautiful fish. If there was light over it, you'd be seeing a lot more color. But they breed really nice in here. These are my original breeders. I need to sift through here and pull some of these babies out, move them to other grow out containers. I got a lot of work to do this weekend. And this is also what happens when you run out of tank space. This is kind of sad, actually. So don't do what I did. Don't put aquariums down below your canopy. This is just a standard, probably buy it at PetSmart, canopy style, 6-foot canopy. It's on a 5-foot tank. That's why it hangs over. And that's why there's a 10-gallon right next to it. There's extra space there. And don't put aquariums down below because that is not rated for aquariums. So I have some blue dolphins down here. I think that's about a 35-gallon tank. And then this is my quarantine tank. So there's 3 female cichlids in there. They're doing great. I make sure they're alive and I feed them every day. And honestly, fish, especially if they're being quarantined, they don't like light anyways. So that 10-gallon works okay. But you can see this thing is bowed right in. It blew right through the bottom floor. I mean, look at the dip. That's the bottom. So those 2 tanks are sitting on the bottom and they're almost touching up at the top because they're both just swayed so much. Not a good thing, but it's working for me. I lost my light here. These are more blue dolphins. I had a nice light over this tank and it burned out. These are, ooh, I got a lot of glare here. These are some of my VC10s, which are these guys right here. And also Fire Ugandas, which are the Victorian fish right here. Some of the males do have nice color in this tank, but you kind of just got to find them. I think there's a nice male up here, but they're still juveniles. They'll take a little bit longer. And this is actually a 120-gallon tank. There's a Fire Uganda male. So all the fish in here are for sale. If anybody wants unsexed groups of juveniles, this is what I sell them. These are Pseudotropheus, I think it's Pseudotropheus interruptus. These are actually a pretty mild-tempered Mabuna. They're all yellow when they're first born. And there's that Fire Uganda guy again. And this one back here is holding. She's been holding for 3 days. She's got a mouthful, which is good. So if anybody, it's a really nice fish. The males are super pretty. They're almost pure black with like a navy blue patterning through them. So they're the opposites of the Kenyi. So the glare is really bad. I don't have the light on. But the Kenyi start blue. So these are all juvenile Kenyi, the blue ones with black stripes. And then they turn yellow when they're a big male. So it's the opposite color change spectrum. This tank's really dirty. They did get a water change, but I didn't clean the glass. I've been super busy. So these are my Dimidochromis Stragatas, as well as my biggest, which are for sale, and they would be breeders already. I can tell males and females. Females are a lot smaller. These are the Neolamprologus Cygnus. So that's a female right there. And this is a male. That's a female, small. And that would be a male, I believe. No, that's a male. There's a big male right here for sure. Super thick. But they don't really like it in here with the Dimidochromis, but they were picking on the angelfish, so this is kind of their timeout tank. They don't have any caves in here to try to spawn in. These are cave spawners, and these are mouth brooders, 2 different lakes. And these guys were just being ornery, trying to breed in my angelfish tank, this one up here. So I moved them down here, and they're doing okay. They can't be ornery to the Dimidochromis. They're a little bit too bolsterous. So these are almost 3-inch fish. I can't wait for some of them to start coloring up, but these big predator haps, they take forever and a day to color up. I mean, you're talking 2.5 years sometimes. So that's the frustrating part, is people want colorful, full male fish, and some of them, they just take forever, and you have to give them a ton of space. And then people want to pay $20 for them. It's like, That's a 2-year-old fish. It took up 10 gallons of my tank space down here for the last 2 years. It's just not possible. So, but yeah, that's just the nature of the game. These are actually the ones that were getting picked on, so their finnage was a lot worse than it is now. Their fins are really starting to come back. But you can just tell they weren't happy. They were getting picked on by those cichlids. And most of their fins are coming back. This guy's still a little bit stubby, but they're still really nice angelfish. There's some real prize ones in here. So I took a bunch of these to the swap too, just to make more room. This tank is a little bit more crowded than that tank. So the swap was great just to kind of make room. I wish I would have taken more koi angelfish. They all sold super quick. So I'm going to take more next time. And if you're in the area, just come get some. And these are sunshine bangas. The light's pretty poor on these guys too. And I took all my males to the swap. So it's only been 4 days, and I have some males already coloring up. Let's see here. Well, at least 2 of them are males here, but they're not showing great colors. I got the box filters are clean, even though that's just black algae. This light, it's not a good setup right here. The shop light's actually directly on top of the tank. So they get a little too much light. There's 2 plecos in here and they love it. They're big fat plecos, but they can't keep up. There's algae all over the sides, which is good for a tank. It means it's very seasoned and it's going to be healthy and have lots of beneficial bacteria. But it's, you know, you can see all the green growing. This sand was a lot lighter before I had this light on for the last 6 months to a year. So that's definitely going to be a male sunshine, and these would be females. And I'm sure there's a couple holding eggs in here too. But we'll move on from that. Well, we're never going to get through all these tanks. I might have to break this video up into 2 parts. Over here, let's see how good this camera does without any light. These are my Amika Splendens. These are a rare Guppies. I took quite a few. This is a male here. They actually have a really nice look to them. Real pretty tail for a Guppies. And this is a big female right above. And it looks like she's gravid again. She's the one who gave birth to all the rest of the babies in here. So the babies aren't so much babies anymore. That's a juvenile. These are all juveniles. So I started with 3 fish. I think that's the original female there. And that's probably the original male. And I took 2 or 3 bags to the swap, so that was really good. This tank is kind of mixed. These are Snakeskin Orchid Endlers. Oh, this tank's dirty too. It kind of gets some of the spray from the brine shrimp. And there's also some yellow swordtails in this tank, with Java moss and a couple filters. And this tank gets a water change once every 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks. So yeah, you can see the swordtails kind of hiding in the back there. And yeah, Snakeskin Orchid Endlers. I have another tank of those I can show you. I gotta find a home for these guys. These are 4 in a breeder box. These are Steindachnerii, Geophagus. This is just really nice having the sink area here. I can hook up my pythons. I have 2 sinks in this basement where I can hook up python hoses, dump out buckets of water. These are, shout out to Michelle who brought over some angelfish eggs. These are really beautiful dark colored koi angelfish. I don't think these are blushing. But she brought over some wigglers that she didn't want or didn't know how to raise. So I raised them up, started them in methylene blue, did water changes, and ended up with a pretty decent batch of new angelfish. The black ones are going to be gorgeous. They're really cool. And then I ended up getting some mystery snails from Alvin in Pinconning. He brought over these mystery snails. And that's another thing I'm kind of messing with. Let's see if they have any clutches. There's a clutch right there. That's brand new today. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. See how good this camera really is. Wow, look at that. That's 1.8. There's the brand new mystery egg clutch. Mystery snail egg clutch. Alright, I'm already in love with this camera. And yeah, so I got a bunch of these babies here, and I already gave her and her daughter probably like 6 of the juveniles, and they're raising up in her tank. So that was really cool. I really appreciate that, and I can't wait to see what these koi angelfish end up looking like, and just having a different variation of kois. Because I think this line is pretty genetically weak. I don't want to breed brother to sister anymore with these ones, but I would like to breed one of these with one of these eventually. And these are koi angelfish that I bought from Angel Mania in New York. He runs a really good operation there. And I also bought the Pinoy Blues that are left in here. These are actually veil-tail kois, some of them. It's not going to show them up very good, but I have other tanks of those. So yeah, 2 10 gallons right here. Mystery snails, baby angelfish. Just a handful of baby angelfish here. I want to see which ones grow faster. If they grow faster because they can get to the baby brine shrimp quicker, or if they grow faster with more space. Right now, it's about a toss-up. They're about the same size. There's going to be some really neat ones here. And these are my only white labs currently. I sold my other groups. I think there's 6 of them here. Or my only juvenile white labs. And these are Pundamilla macrocephala in with them. So Lake Victorian and Lake Malawi juveniles. They're both pretty small. This was kind of cool. And I'm going to run out of voice here before the end of this video. But I took my whole tank of white-tailed ACI to the swap, because you can't breed everything. I have too many species. And as I was bagging them, I noticed 3 of the little girls were holding eggs. So I stripped them, and I ended up with what you see here. And I don't know about you. Zoom in, camera. But there's one little albino, and they got full bellies. They just had brine shrimp. But that's an albino white-tailed ACI. So really cool. I was kind of trying to get away from having these fish. I like Mabuna, but they're not my specialty. But I just couldn't pass up raising up this group. There's probably about 25 of them here. They still have some baby brine shrimp down here. These are, we're going to move a little bit quicker. These are blue golds, which are the relative to the Protomylus Taiwan Reef. And these are Geophagus Brazilians. I gotta find a new tank for them. They're getting pretty big. But they do so good together. They're still growing, as long as you keep the water clean in the tank that is getting pulled from. These are Eastern Happies, the blue collection variant. These down here, they're hiding a little bit. These are the Dimidochromis Marlarie that are on the website. So there's more in here than it looks like. There's really no light on the tank. But they're doing good in there. They like to have lots of caves and rocks to kind of crawl against and hide against. These I'm kind of excited for. I've been growing these for probably about a month. They seem to be a little bit of a slow grower. These are my blue dragon bloods, and I have a real stunner male. I'll show him to you that bred with the female, so I'm hoping to get more of those blue, really pretty dragon blood colors. And what's neat about these dragon bloods, when I breed them, half of them will actually be a peacock type look to them. So you can tell right now, the ones that are really light colored, those are going to be dragon blood style. The ones that have the stripes and dots, those are going to be the peacock style. Oh yeah, and in this tank too, there's more angelfish. This is where I do a lot of my egg tumbling. I gotta tear this apart. There's some sunshine banga fry in there, and the eggs weren't fertilized. But this is too many fish to have in here. These are the bronze swordtail. This is another wild collection point swordtail I've had for over a year. Really big swordtail and a really slow grower. For the longest time, I didn't think I had a male, and now this male emerged, and I think he's got a few of the females gravid. And I've had these fish for a year, just growing them up. They're really big swordtails, and they're wild caught too, so I'm really excited for them. They're different than my yellowtail swordtails, even though they look a little bit similar because they're wild caught. These are the bronze swordtails. So I don't have any juveniles on them. This camera can only do so much with the glare. And then of course more koi angelfish, quarter, and one Geophagus who decided he was going to jump out of the breeder boxes, who knows when. One Geophagus and one peacock, it looks like. So these videos are good for me because it gives me time to look at my tanks a little bit more also. These are the Tropheus chipimbis. They're like, what do you got? Is that a camera? Can I eat it? They've been kind of feisty. They've been beating on each other a little bit. You can see some of the white marks. Those are battle wounds. But yeah, they don't know what my camera is. If I feed them, they swarm right up here. It's really neat. These are Geophagus Brazilians. I need to do a little bit of a clean on this tank. They all get automatic water changes. And the filters are clean, water changes. But yeah, just got to clean the algae so it's a little bit, doesn't look the best. Geophagus Brazilians for sale. I've been growing these for probably almost a year now. They're breeding size. They just haven't picked a cave to breed in. These are my deep water Haps from Lake Malawi, and my first fish from the deep water Haps. That girl right there has got a small batch of eggs. So I'm excited for that. She's been holding them for about 2 weeks, so I'm probably going to pull them next week. I like to wait about 20 to 25 days. So here's two males kind of squaring off here. Really pretty fish. Can't wait to have more of these ones. I've been growing these for close to a year as well, so this will be the first time I've bred that species of fish. I don't have any of the lights on or anything, but these are the Taiwan Reefs. I have one nice male. I ended up selling one of my males because I haven't been able to get these guys to breed either. And there's some really nice plump females in here. They've held eggs 2 or 3 times, but they're never fertile. None of these tanks are going to look that good just because I don't have lights on them. These are some of the lupi in here and multicolor Victorias. These are a Dwarf Cichlid, a little bit more aggressive than, say, the Apistogramma. They're a mouth spawner, so they're not a cave spawner like Apistogramma. But this is about as big as they get. They get about, the males my biggest male that I've had for over 2 years, he is about, there's a lot of males in this tank too, by the way. He is only about 2.5 inches. So they are very small fish, and you can see they're getting along just fine with the lupi. I even have 2 Cyprechromis in here. These are blue neon Cyprechromis, that's the male. Females in here too, they come out and eat, do just fine. And yeah, a lot of these tanks, I do like to have a thin layer of crushed coral. These white pieces are cuttlebone. I believe I have that listed on the website. That adds calcium to the tank. I've only found it to be beneficial. I have not found any detriment to the cuttlebone. I try to put it in all my tanks. You can see there's a big piece here. This is my Pleco tank. And yeah, if you're interested in just getting a 3-pack of large cuttlebones, these guys are gonna hide. They only come out for food, and it's just kind of weird in this tank because they're the juveniles. We'll be able to see them a lot better. These are really pretty fish too. Those are the blue golds. Down here, I gotta work on this tank. It's dirty, but again, it gets automatic water changes. There's a lupi down here and guppies, which I was hoping the guppies would make them feel more comfortable and get them to spawn. Like that little lupi there, it'd be nice if she spawned. This one, I think, is egg bound. And one Geophagus decided to jump from this tank over to this tank. So there's one plump Geophagus, I think a female. Or that might be a male. Look how fat that Geo is. I bet that Geo is eating a whole lot of these guppies. It looks like I'm pretty sparse on guppies right now. Look at the belly on that thing. But that's what's nice when you breed all these different kinds of fish. If something like that happens, it doesn't, you know, it's food for the fish. That's what they would do in the wild, so you can't fault the fish. These are my biggest Geophagus. I've had these for a very long time. These are the ones that I will probably be breeding in the future. I have some more in that 120 gallon that are breeding also. But really pleasant, peaceful fish. The males take a while before they get that big red head, but you can kind of see it developing on these fish. Always sifting through the sand. They're paying more attention to me right now. And these are the Super Red Pineapple Swordtails. These are my original breeders that I had in the pond last year. And this is the only male that I have left. And he's just starting to show his tail. I lost my big breeder male last year in the pond. But really pretty fish. I ended up selling quite a few bags of these at the swap. Really nice swordtail. And in here are some random crypts just buried in the sand. And they do just fine. Same here. There's some crypts. There's some Java Fern. Nothing much. There's some Java Fern that got uprooted in the corner there. You know, kind of difficult with cichlids in here to have too many plants, but as long as you have a nice root structure, which the crypts will develop a big root structure, no problems with the geos. I have not really found the geos to dig up plants like I was expecting. They're not really interested in making a mess. They're looking for bugs, and you know, they might move sand around or gravel around, but it doesn't do too much harm. So I don't think we need to go over every single breeder box. I got these 11 Tropheus duboisii for sale. Everything else is spoken for, but I just got these last week. So I cleaned and took apart the Tropheus duboisii tank down here, 100-gallon tank. And 2 females were holding, which was fantastic. So they're doing really good for me. And these are a new, I'm testing something out. Shout out to Michelle. She ended up getting me, she had a red Empress breed with a really pretty ruby red female. And I decided to try to see what the babies look like. So I know they're hybrids. And I'm definitely not going to try to pass them off as anything else. That's what I'm doing right here is ruby, red, peacock, red Empress, Hap, hybrids. We'll see what they look like. I'm just curious, and I love new fish, and I love red Empress to begin with. So I think those are going to be really neat. These are Christmas Fulus. They could use a new tank. They're kind of scared. Maybe I'll put a decoration in for them. These are Tropheus Cachis. Let me see if I can zoom in on them. You can see all the angelfish in the background. But they're kind of a little bit of an ornery Tropheus. That's what's in this tank too. They're all going to be hiding. I'm down here talking to myself, so they think I'm crazy, but I think there's 8 of them in here. So I'm hoping they'll breed a little bit more. There's Java Fern in that tank as well. And yeah, these ones are spoken for, but these are some more Tropheus duboisii. They call them the white spot cichlid. Beautiful when they're babies, but they look totally different as adults. So really cool. And yeah, these are the last. These are all of my koi angelfish because I lost my breeding pairs. But these are what I have available, which is a lot. And it looks like they're really packed in here. But this is a 180-gallon aquarium. They have a lot of space here. That tank's 2 foot deep. And I put all my filters in here. Just so that I always have cycled filters to move to other tanks. So some of these filters will be going into those 5-gallon tanks I'm going to be putting on the wall. And just a big old mess of lava rock. I need to get this filter, lava rock's bearing a filter, running, but I don't think I have enough air pressure right now. And there's a heater in this tank, Eheim 300 watt. So I think I keep this tank about 80 degrees, and they're doing great. They're just eating machines when I feed this tank. It's pretty cool. And I cut my own lids for this 180 gallon, so I have plants up top, and automatic water change comes in right there. And I just mounted, what's real nice about these steel stands is I can do a metal hook. These are magnetic hooks you can get on Amazon. I should probably start doing Amazon affiliate links for all the stuff I tell you guys to buy on Amazon. And these are just Menards cheap shop lights. And that's hooked into a timer on the other side of the room, and it just works great. These plants are doing real well. Angelfish are doing great, and I have extra filters for whenever I set up new tanks. These are all going to be going to the 5 gallons too. All right, so more babies. I have one albino ruby red that it's been a slow grower, but I'm excited to have an albino ruby red. That's a really pretty fish. And Christmas fulus, hippo point salmon. They're kind of bland as juveniles. These are my only Neolamprologus Cygnus. Beautiful fish. I can't wait to do more of. I'm trying to acquire some more females. So if anybody has Neolamprologus Cygnus, Macoby Island, I am interested in females. I have a really nice male that I want to continue breeding, but I only have 2 or 3 females. So we'll get to those tanks. I have a whole nother room here. These are yellow blaze lithobait hybrids. So we missed a tank. Let's go back down here. Have some more babies. These are just the same thing, the red Empress, ruby red hybrids that I'm going to try to raise up and see what they look like. I just split the colony so they had more room to grow. There's a few super red bristlenose in here. This is the only batch I've gotten in probably about 2 months from bristlenose. So I got to figure out what's going on there. This is my VC10, Super VC10 breeder tank. That's the male back there. He's oops, what did I do? What did I do? Okay, hopefully all is well. So the male's looking a little pouty. There's a Kenny in here. And there's also these yellow blaze lithobait hybrids. I thought they were pure strain yellow blaze lithobaits, but I was wrong. But they're still beautiful. They're like a yellow blaze body shape with like an orange color. This one's not as pretty as the last one I sold. So just like other peacocks, one male will look really nice, and then once you sell him, other males will start coloring up. And he doesn't look as good as he did. I had him in a 40 gallon all by themselves, and now that I have them in here with these monsters, yeah, they're not going to show their absolute best colors, but it's going to be a really neat fish. So I decided to take a few more of those and continue on with that. Let's see if I can, okay, 1x zoom. I just saved a couple. These are the little teeny tiny Dimidochromis Marlarie babies. So super small, but I'm feeding them baby brine shrimp. There's only 2 of them in that breeder box. I think the juveniles, the batch before, ended up eating some of them. Let's see here. These are Sunshine Banga peacocks. They're almost a size to move to another tank. I got to get these guys moved hopefully tonight. These are Pundamilla macrocephala, the black Lake Victorian, really neat fish. Can't find them too often. These are the multicolor Victorias that I showed you that are up in that tank that I have a lot of the males available for. These are Eastern Happy Blue Strain, Eastern Happy Blue Strain. Starting to get a little bit of color maybe on the males there, but they're a pretty fish. My 10 gallon rack's been doing really awesome, been keeping up on the maintenance. So there's 7 10s up top, 7 in the middle, and then my 100 gallon Tropheus tank on the bottom. And they're my favorite fish, no doubt. So yeah, let's go over it. These are Tiger Endlers. Took a bunch of these to the swap. I have one more tank of Tiger Endlers because I sell so many of them on eBay, and they're just such a really nice Endler and a really pretty cool pattern. This, I gotta clean the algae. Front of the tank's pretty dirty. I'm growing out some hippo point salmon, which is a nice salmon color, hence the name salmon. Hippo Point's the collection location for those. The parents on the hippo point salmon, I'll show you some adults in the other room. But the parents were registered under the CARES program. So these are blue Moscow guppies. So I do have 3 tanks of these. This tank's actually been doing really good. Just Java moss in most of these tanks. So a little bit of Java moss here, frog bit up top. Really like this plant. It's not as messy as duckweed. And it just gives a lot of really good light cover, sucks up a lot of nutrients. You can see some of the stems from the frog bit. It doesn't have really thick stems, probably because it's getting plenty of nutrients without needing to grow really long roots. But But if it's your tank might end up growing even longer roots than this. So yeah, Java moss. I'm trying to propagate as much of this as I can so I can take handfuls to the swap. These are Bosemani rainbow fish. These are probably spoken for. And one Peacocks rainbow fish in here. They're just kind of growing out. These are Santa Maria Endlers. I think I have some of the best around, and I know I have the best prices online on Santa Marias. So let's see if we can't, how this camera does. There you go. They're a beautiful Endler. These are pretty long tail ones too. So this is pretty much what you can expect to get if you buy male Santa Maria Endlers. The females are drab, just like any other Endler. I will not send any off-color ones. Like if you see some of these, they might have a little bit of a gold look to them. I don't sell those. Those go to the Guppy 100-gallon tank to grow up and get sold cheaper. But the Santa Marias are just my favorite Endler. They're the coolest. And that tank's doing amazing. I've had that tank set up for quite a while now. This is a tank of purple IFGA Guppies, except these are showing a lot of spots in their tails. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not what I'm aiming for. And you can see quite a few fry. 2 females just dropped fry in there not too long ago. Oh, and up here, these, why am I drawing a blank? Got some babies up here. I just moved them. I should probably write on there what they are. I'll be able to remember here in just a second. But this is how small they are when I move them out of a tumbler. They still have their egg sac, but I guarantee they've been eating brine shrimp today. And you can starve them even if they have an egg sac. These guys need to come out of there. Come on guys, don't be getting sucked up to the top of the filter there. They're not stuck or anything, I don't think. He just wants to be there. So, what are these? These might be dragon bloods. But they are, that's the size I like to move them out of the tumbler. They can just scoot around as long as they're not laying on their side too much. And when you first move them, they might be laying on their side. Don't freak out, don't panic. Just make sure you have a lot of airflow in your breeder box. Water flow, I should say, so that it's at least getting fresh water by them. I think the key thing is just have nice clean water. These guys are already spoken for. These are my nicest Tropheus duboisii. They're doing amazing. They're begging for baby brine shrimp right now. So, yep, Mike, come get them, man. They're awesome. You're gonna have an awesome group of these. I think you have a really good game plan for this fish. And in just a short amount of time, they'll be really cool full-grown adults. So these guys are a little bit mopey today. They're usually even more interested in food. So these are some yellow swordtails that I'm growing up. These are the snakeskin orchid endlers that I wanted to show you guys. Usually these are not a very prolific endler. I have a few friends who think these are their absolute favorite. This is a color morph off of the orchid endler. And that's what all the males look like, basically. They're super tiny. They're perfect for a nano tank. The females get quite a bit bigger than the males. And this is all Java moss in the bottom of this tank, which is what I think has allowed all the babies to survive, because they've been pretty rough on their young. This is the first time that I have any amount of good amount of fish in this tank. It's always been about 20 fish, and just in the last month, you give it enough time, you feed enough baby brine shrimp, and yeah, good things will happen. You'll get a nice booming batch of endlers or guppies. You just got to be patient sometimes. So super cool fish. These are currently available on the website, so snatch them up if you want. Shipping's getting a little bit easier for me now. I should probably update that. Warm weather is starting to trickle in. I know it's only March and Michigan's still really cold here, Got to clean the side of this. This is a breeding pair of crebensis. It's not a dirty tank. Again, all these get automatic water change. This tank was clean just 2 weeks ago. Not quite sure why it's getting the brown algae on the side. Probably because there's not enough plants in there. That's my guess. These are more black Bar Endlers and just some duckweed. I took quite a few of these to the swap. These are my most prolific Endler. So if you're looking for just a standard, real pretty Endler that's going to be as hardy and prolific as possible and cheap as possible, best value per fish, go with these black Bar Endlers. And this is another tank that I have to cull pretty aggressively. I haven't really ever done a full cull of this tank, but these are more Santa Maria Endlers. So like this guy right here, he's going to the muck guppy tank. Whereas this one, he looks pretty good. He's got a nice tail on top and bottom, nice black bar, nice finish. So probably about 3/4 of the fish in here look pretty good. But it's a lot of work to go through and cull them all. And when I say cull, I'm not culling them, I'm just moving them. These are the blue gold juveniles. I dedicated a whole 75 gallon to them, plus a few albino bristlenose plecos in here. And again, I spray painted this tank. So I just really like the look of it. And I spray painted the bottom on this one blue and the side. So that's a 55 gallon tank. This tank's a little bit sketchy. This was the used tank when I got it. And just for everybody's awareness, this is what can happen. So this brace is basically foobar. I've tried to epoxy it back. The epoxy snapped. And if I showed you, this tank is bowing a decent amount. It could be disaster any day. But that's okay. It's not in my living room. I wouldn't put this tank in my living room. But it's been like this for a 1.5 years. So what I did is I have these overflows in the back. I set that overflow quite a bit lower than the top of the tank. And if you have any kind of a tank that's bowing or the brace is a little bit sketchy, just drop your water level. Just keep your water below where it could be. Now if I filled this tank up to the total max, that could spell disaster. But just keep your water level low. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's what I'm doing. I ran out of space. This is where I was shipping Santa Maria Endlers out of, and I was obviously shipping gravid females because they bred right in this tank. 2 months ago I was shipping Endlers out of here, and these males, they don't look that good yet. This one was probably one of the ones, he's probably the dad maybe. But yeah, these were all kind of raised up in here. I think I was down to 3 or 4 Endlers in here, and I haven't shipped fish in 2 or 3 months. So yeah, now there's more. So the Santa Marias are pretty prolific actually. And then this is just a little teeny tiny container. Again, this is what happens when you run out of containers. So these are just 2 snakeskin Endlers that I was gonna ship out to somebody and didn't need to. So I like to move them into new tanks so they have nothing to eat on. If they have algae, if they have anything left in the tank, snails, babies, they might be eating that stuff even though you're not feeding them. So you're purging them before you ship them. But if they're still eating food, they're still going to go to the bathroom in the bag water when they're shipped, which could create ammonia and spell disaster during shipping. So that's why I kind of set these up. It's not that I ran out of space. I was trying to use these as prep containers. So those new 5 gallon tanks, I'm going to be prepping a lot of the fish into 5 gallon tanks. This is a mutt. I'm going to call it my mutt cichlids. There's quite a bit of random stuff down here. This is, oh, why can't I think of the name? Convict. This is a female convict. She lays eggs in here all the time, even though there's not a male in here. And she holds her own. This is a hybrid Apache Peacock that got returned to me because he was too aggressive. And he's basically got all these females in here. I think there's 3 of them holding, and I probably won't take these eggs. These fish are all holding eggs. And a blue dolphin. and a Victorian who I didn't know what it was, so it went into this hybrid tank, and a Dragon Blood female and a Yellow Blaze Litho Bait female. So yeah, that's kind of my random tank down there. One more room, but it's a big room. So this is the dad to those, if the girl would get out of the way, of those blue Dragon Bloods that I have. So he has bred quite a few Dragon Bloods in here, and I'm hoping to get more that look like him. And I think he's a pretty cool fish. He's not looking his best right now, but he's looking pretty good. Again, hybrid fish in here, blue dolphins, hybrid fish plus blue dolphins. This is what you get when you, oh, I got too much glare, when you breed an Apache with a Dimidochromis. So you can see he's got that predator hap look to him. He's got a more elongated snout, but he's showing way more color than the Dimidochromis will at this size. In my experience, Dimidochromis don't start showing that nice metallic sheen until they're at least 5-6 inches. So a whole lot of females in here. I've sold almost all the males out of here because I've had people always notice this tank and they always really like the fish in here. Very low on males at the moment. So I have some other males and some other tanks here. Because this is at eye level, anybody who visits us really notices this tank and just pays a lot of attention to it. It's a 75 gallon, so they can see some of the, you know, good sized fish they're looking for, 2-inch, 3-inch fish. These are my Apache Peacocks, which I've been growing out since the summer. I had them outside. This guy's really nice. But again, more hybrid peacocks. So some people are gonna hate me for even making this. But in my opinion, as long as people know what they're getting, they know it's a hybrid, you're not putting anything into the market that's gonna dilute other populations unknowingly, then let there be hybrids. Let there be these special fancy colors that you just can't find in the wild, and just pretty fish in general. 95% of the people that I sell fish to, they just want a really pretty all-male tank, and that's what these fish are good for. So they're all gonna look a little bit different. This is one of the first males to start showing color in this tank. I've sold a couple out of here that look kind of neat, but that's what's nice about, you know, when you start breeding different females to one specific hybrid male, you start getting lots of different variation, which that's what the 75 gallon's all about. They do need a clean. Their glass is a little bit dirty. This filter is way too dirty for a box filter. You can see kind of the dirt going all the way down into the polyfill there. So I'll be doing filter cleans all weekend. This tank, they just will not allow plants to be in the tank, of course. So I have some ruby red males in here. I took 5 or 6. There's my Neolamprologus Cygnus male, Macoby Island. So I am looking for females of this. If anybody has a lead on that, please let me know, because I'd like to continue to breed this OB male. He's one of my favorites, and I know people who are also interested in continuing the line. And this is actually a location-specific scientific name fish. Get out of the way, ruby red female. So I would much rather breed this type of a blotched fish, because people like the blotched fish, than the OBs. Everybody does the OBs, which is a hybrid fish. Nothing against it, but that's what I want to focus on. So here's one of the females. Females even look really good. They're looking a little bit green, yellowish. I painted these 75 gallons, which have algae on the back, but it's not my favorite color. This is like a ocean color green, whereas, so all these 75s are an ocean color green, whereas this is like a deep navy blue. So these are my multicolor Victoria breeders here. Might as well zoom in. Looks like she's got babies again. There's only 2 females in here, and the male's pretty, he doesn't show himself too much. I'll be catching these, moving these to different tanks. They will be going to a 20-gallon long. This dirty tank, for some reason this tank just gets a lot of light, no plants. These are the Hippo Point salmon breeders for the most part. Here's one of the males in the dirty tank. And I have another tank of these as well for the adults, but I'll be moving these ones to a 20, these ones down to here, And then I'm getting a pair of breeding angelfish to put up here, because the tanks that are up higher are always a little bit warmer, 1 or 2 degrees warmer. So yeah, you can just see there's algae. This is a pretty strong light I have up here, obviously. So these tanks get a lot of algae. So I want to have all my angelfish breeders. So I'm trying to breed these ones. Some really nice ones here with really long veils. And these are some of the ones from Angel Mania, plus the ones that I bred to kind of strengthen the line. And then these are my Pinoy Blues I got from Angel Mania. I've been growing these for about 6 months now. And some of them are just gorgeous with these super long veils. And the lighting is not going to do them justice, but they are a blue Pinoy angelfish. So they have blue in them. And if I was trying to get really nice pictures of them, I'd put a nice light over this tank. And these are blue Pinoys. These are non-veil, but really pretty fish all on their own. So I just want to have angelfish all on my top row. So we'll go back real quick. Kind of do all my breeder angelfish up high. Angelfish like it a little bit warmer. 77 to 82 degrees is, you know, about... Heck, these tanks are probably only about 75 and they're doing just fine. They're thriving in a little bit lower temperatures. These are my Christmas Fulus. So I was growing these guys up and they're doing amazing in this tank. Here's the male, who's probably got a bunch of little baby, these poor little juvenile teenage pregnancies going on here in this tank. So only one male showing nice color, but that's about the color they look like. They call them the Christmas Fulu. It's kind of like all the Christmas colors there. Nice fish. I got my originals from the GVAC, and they were old adult fish. And these are another dirty tank, but these are the blue Eastern Happies. She's got a mouthful. Where's the nice male? There he is. Not going to look that good. I got a little bit of algae I'm competing with here. But kind of a neat fish. They got that black line going from their eyeball down. He's not looking super blue today, but another fish I really like and have available. I'm a sucker for the Victorians. I think they go really good with peacocks and haps. As long as you have enough fish in the tank, I've had no problems with it. And I've sold those fish to go into people's tanks for peacocks and haps and heard very good things. More because I cull pretty aggressively. These are some of my best that I put in here. This is my best male that I started with. Now all these other baby males are starting to show color. So I'm going to have to sort through this tank. These are the Santa Maria Endlers and a tank full of guppy grass. And this guppy grass didn't do good at all. That kind of wilted. I'm going to have to pull that out of there before it kind of starts rotting and adding bad stuff to the tank. More Santa Maria Endlers. I had rainbow fish in this tank, and now it's just some Java moss and a few shrimp. So I'm going to try to work on these shrimp. They've lost a lot of their color. They've kind of started reverting back to the wild form. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might end up putting some fish in here. When I sort through these Santa Maria Endlers, in these two tanks, I might end up putting my absolute best ones in here, just so I can continue having a real strong line. It's kind of a pretty shrimp. Let's see how good we can zoom in with this new camera. He's got like a white bar on the top of his back. It's not zooming in too good. I mean, it is, but it isn't. So these are ruby greens. They are going to be skittish. For some reason, this tank, there's not a lot of fish in here, and I think that's what makes them a little bit skittish. This tank has future breeder VC10s, Chilotilapia utilis, which are the ones with the long bar across their body there. I'm excited for that hap. Never bred those. And some Apache Peacocks. So some of these males here, I'm going to pluck out and put in the 75-gallon tank, and they can start showing off and getting some of their better colors there. So I'll be sorting through that tank. Over here are some more Geophagus Brazilians. Look at him showing off. Kind of an ugly courtship behavior there. But yeah, that's definitely the male there. He must not have noticed me yet. He's too busy showing off for the females. Nothing real special, you know, just got some guppy grass in here. That's some actual pogostemon octopus, interestingly. These are some ruby red juveniles, starting to look pretty decent. Another Lake Victorian. I sold the best male out of here, so looks like 2 other males are starting to show some colors. A lot of these tanks, they need to have the fronts cleaned. They do have some algae buildup, especially this one right here. These are my zebra Obliquens. Got a couple males looking pretty decent there. They look like they're a little wary of me. But really, this is a really pretty strain of them. They have the blue lips. They just look really good and healthy. I've tried this fish before from pet stores. They always had parasites and they never did good for me. These are hobbyist bred ones, and I've been growing these for about a year, and I know they've bred in this tank a few times already. These are all 29 gallons. It's probably too many fish for a 29, but they're doing pretty good. Talk about too many fish, blue dolphins in a 29 gallon. They're all begging for food, but they got plenty of space. These are all sideways behind them. And bigger blue dolphins. So 2 different sizes here, smalls and mediums. So that's the bottom row. Now I can stretch my back. This is going to be one of the longest videos in history. I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate you guys sticking around this long. These are yellow blaze lithobate hybrids. I need to start separating some of these out, giving them a little more space. 20 gallons, just not big enough for this many fish. This, he's going to go hide. That's my Fire Uganda. He's looked a lot better than that, but that's about the size they get. He's a big boy. He's about 4 inches, I would say. That's one of the biggest Victorians I've ever had. I've grown him with just 3 or 4 females in bigger tank. Yeah, these guys are going to hide again. Can never get them on camera very good for a video. These are the Hippo Point salmon. And 2 of the males in there are really nice, but... oh, that's why they're hiding. They're not happy. Their sponge filter let go from the glass. So I don't really care for those suction cup style ones. I'm going to have to fix that today. But that's why I like to have 2 filters in every tank. So then if one of them comes loose from the glass or has any kind of an issue, you're always good biologically if you have 2. That's my theory, at least. So I pulled all the juveniles out here. This is the Dimidochromis Marlarie breeders. So there's dad, there's mom. And I noticed yesterday, yeah, I gotta clean that. That's all flake food. They're not eating everything I put in the tank. They were when I had all the juveniles in there. This is my love-hate relationship. These are my my Calvis cichlids. These are the yellow Calvis. That female was getting very beat up on, so that's why I put up this egg crate to separate her from the male, even though he's in the back keeping guard right now. It seems to be working, even though the automatic water change raised the water level too high. So if they wanted to, they could. That crate is really not doing very... it's doing its job because it's keeping him away from her, so that's all I care about right now. Because he had her beat right up, and there's 2 more in here. I'm hoping they will lay, because I started with, I think, 14 of these, and I'm down to 4. So, kind of difficult on that. It's been painful. These are VC10s that I have available. This is about the selling size that I have right now. They're all over 1 inch, just barely over 1 inch. Kind of small. We've all seen this tank. I'm just going to gloss over it. These are the Travassiers. Pretty fish, though. This one's got a bad eye. They came from pretty poor conditions, but they're blotched males right here. And she might be holding eggs. That's what one of the females looks like. And the big dominant male, he's gorgeous, but he is always hiding from me. And this one's got a bad eye, too. So they came from kind of bad conditions. They need to have their filters cleaned, but yeah. These are crebensis. They hide unless I'm feeding them as well. And then I got duckweed. I try to keep some plants in all the containers. I've already gone over that. That's just kind of my tests here on how, this is how I grew that big, nice Java Fern plant. This is basically just tape because I didn't have a clear lid for this. And then there's some Java Fern in here, and I spray that with RO water twice a day, and just regular soil in the bottom. And this Anubias isn't doing very good because I did cut some of the plants last week. That's a cut right there, so you can separate them and propagate them that way. If you cut the main, I forget what it's called, more Anubias, and I took some of the Java Fern from here. So we're almost done here. I'm sure I missed tanks, but that's okay. This is my 30 gallon that's separated. Nothing real special here. I have more blue golds growing up here. I have ruby reds here. That little guy's already showing some color. Pundamilla macrocephala, so this is going to be a guaranteed male here. He's starting to look pretty nice, red around the finnage, and he'll be pretty much a full black fish when he's colored up. Come on, camera. There we go. Not too bad. These are true blood red Empress from Brian Seaman's group. He had some super red Empress that are just gorgeous. They're actually the picture of mid-Michigan cichlids right now. So I got some fry from him to try to grow up. And they're getting pretty good size. We got about 3/4 of an inch on them now, so they might get their own 10-gallon tank here pretty soon. These are Eastern Happy blue strain. Just moved them over not long ago. They're growing into this. So each one of these tanks is about 4 gallons separated this way. And I just have one single lid here. This is the double wall polycarbonate that I use for all my aquariums. I have a video on how to cut that. Different ways to cut it. I like the table saw method. And this is how I have all my different airlines here. I have one running underneath each rack, and it's basically just one big loop system that ties back up and into this air pump. I run 2 air pumps, one in this room, one in the other room, and it all feeds every filtration for the entire 3 rooms. This is my automatic water change system on the wall there. That's my RODI. That is my boiler and hot water heat for the house. This is where the water comes into my house and goes through a carbon block filter and 2 sediment filters. Goes through this sediment filter first, which I should be changing out here next week, which I will. I got a new carbon block, big whole house carbon block to put in there. This is exactly what it is, A.O. Smith Central Water Filter. They say they're good for 6 years for a residential family. This thing kept the chlorine out of my water for about 1.5 years, but I do a lot of water changes. So, and the reason, here's a pro tip here, put a sediment filter after your carbon block filter, because those little tiny pieces of carbon, this was obviously doing water changes, those are going to end up in the back of your toilet, they're going to end up in your fish tank. There are studies that say carbon can be a leading indicator if left in your fish tank for hole in the head disease. So you probably don't want little pieces of carbon floating around in your fish tanks. Maybe the fish will eat it, who knows. You want to keep it out of your water, you want to keep it out of your sink, out of your drinks, out of the back of your toilet, all that good stuff. So put a sediment filter to clean it first. That'll make your carbon block filter last longer. Put one afterwards to catch any carbon that gets pushed out of that filter, because there will be some. This is about 2 years worth, and the lights are off in the room. So 2 more tanks to go. This we won't even be able to see. This is another mixed cichlid tank. I have some Mabuna, some Interruptus, some Peacocks, some Lake Victorians, some pretty nice males in there though, but I'll be moving some of those shortly. I really like this tank. This is a 40 gallon. It's a 3-foot tank, only 12 inches deep. I think it's 40. And these are Tiger Endlers, And the tiger endlers get eaten quite a bit, the babies at least, by these big fat Guppies. These are the red-tailed Guppies. Here's one of the males up here. They're kind of jumpy, but I think they're super pretty, super cool looking. And this male's not looking his best, but you can kind of see the blue. They have a nice orange tail, and then they have a blue that goes about halfway up their body, and that blue, they almost look like an American flag with that nice bright orange and then that blue sparkle color. Really cool for a live bear. The males kind of remind me of a Bosemani rainbow fish, just not quite as colorful, but they're a live bear, and I got a special place in my heart for them. I think I'm always going to have this fish. I like all the Guppies though. I like all the big live bears. I think they're super neat. So yeah, I have the red-tailed Guppies in here. I forget their lion's eye. Guppies lion's eye. I forget the scientific name. I should know it. I'm getting tired. It's been a great day here. It's Friday night. So, Metafish, Joe at Metafish, signing out for now. Yeah, so these lights are all on a timer, so it was telling me this is the end of the video. And signing out for now. Thanks for watching. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know when all the swaps are coming up, what kind of fun things you're working on. And talk to you later.